Hi YouTube, my name is Julie, and I have a story I'd like you to take just a few minutes to listen to. I was born in 1958, and I was raised by a very middle class, father knows best type situation. I'm sure most of you don't know father knows best, but anyway, regardless, a very middle class existence. I'm the baby of four siblings. In 1971, my world kind of crumbled when my dad abandoned my mom for to go off and marry his pregnant secretary. It was 1971 and I was 14 years old. I don't really have the time or want to go into all the reasons why by the age of 15 I had left school, my family, my home, and gotten married and went out to begin my life and got my first job. My first job was at a movie theater here in Houston, Texas, and it was to work at the concession stand. A friend had gotten me an interview, and great. I go to the interview, and I can still remember this so vividly, like it was yesterday, even though it was a long time ago. I went into the manager's office. He must have been, maybe 40 years old, a large man, and he sat behind his desk and he asked me to sort of parade around the office, to walk back and forth. And, at 15, fairly inexperienced, although I was married, I wasn't uh, completely inexperienced. It was just a different time. And so I, didn't realize that he was checking me out. The next thing was that he told me I had the job, but he needed to know how I would look in the uniform. And he asked me to try it on right then, right there, in front of him. I did it. I don't know why I did it, but I just felt like it was what I was supposed to do, and so I did. I got the job, obviously, and that turned into a year and a half of sexual innuendo. My first experience with a grown man treating me as an object, unwanted touching, inappropriate language, not just me, but all of the girls that worked there, and crude talk. I was ashamed and embarrassed when he should have been ashamed and embarrassed. I mean, he should have been arrested probably. Um, Later, I went on to marry the father of my three beautiful, amazing children. And ironically, I think would be the word, he eventually abandoned our family for his pregnant girlfriend. So I became, at about 33 years of age, a single mom with three kids, and the responsibility of feeding, clothing. You all know what it takes to be a parent, single or not. Um, I've tried to remember today and yesterday just the number of times that I was verbally made to feel like I had no choice but to accept, the locker room innuendos and, this is the 80s by now, late 80s, and, it was like, again, a different time. Yes, women's lib had gotten us, what we thought was our independence and freedom. But one thing that has never changed is the objectification of women. And like I said, I've tried to remember uh, all the times, that I was spoken to crudely, um, had my shoulders rubbed, hand put up on a wall so I couldn't get by, being cornered in a lunchroom, being invited to lunch by men who were married, uh, obviously, and eventually a sexual assault. Um, and it was by a man who had the power to fire me and basically destroy my life, the life that I had worked so hard to build for me, my children. I can't adequately explain the feeling of fear of, what you would do if you would lose your job. I mean, I know all of you have lost jobs, and I know all of you have children that you're raising, but for me, it was overwhelming, and it consumed me that I had to keep my job. Eventually, it turned to shame that I didn't stand up to a man that was abusing me at work. After fighting breast cancer in 2003, I was diagnosed with breast cancer and had a pretty bad time of it. And after that, my amazing husband that I had married, we decided that, I could stay home for the first time since I was, 15 years old. And I realized just, in the past week that I became ignorant to what is currently happening in workplaces still in 2016 in America. I guess I thought, surely, people are running, HP, and women are, CEOs, and we've come so far. And I guess I thought that this behavior no longer existed. As I said, I was obviously ignorant to it. I certainly had no idea that monsters like Donald Trump were still out there using their power to abuse women. I'm so proud of my two sons and my daughter because they know that their worth is not based on what they look like. And they're all beautiful, to me especially. But they've always known that. They know that your worth is not what you look like, but who you are and what type of citizen you are in our country. I've never told my stories to anyone, not my children. This will be the first time I've ever told my stories about the sexual. I've only been sexually assaulted once, but just living with the, sexual innuendo and the feeling of, if I don't let this guy rub my arm or rub my shoulders or I'm not nice to him, that I would somehow lose my job. And I'm so amazed at these women who have come out and have spoken their own truth. Additionally, I am so proud of my daughter and her peers who have, in just one generation, said, they've found the courage to say that we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to speak out despite the consequences, which really haven't changed at all in 40 years. You're still questioned as if you have done something wrong. It takes so much courage that I didn't have until I realized that a sexual predator was running to be president of the country that I love so much. I've been voting since Jimmy Carter, so aging myself a little bit there. And I've seen many things that, were an embarrassment. I've been through, I was young, but Watergate and obviously the Bill Clinton impeachment. We won't even get into the George W. Bush years. And I've seen that, the leader of the free world can, really set the tone of what goes on around us. But I have never in my life seen anything like this election. My only reason for speaking out is the fear and pure terror that I have at the thought of Donald Trump being the leader of the free world. The heartbreak I feel over the dismissal of Mr. Trump's words and behavior by people I know, men that I love and respect. And I'm inspired by the women who have come forward despite knowing that they would be accused of either complicity with trying to bring down Donald Trump, or, they're whores, or just that it's not true. I'm inspired by the grace of Hillary Clinton, that she has the intestinal fortitude to stand her ground, keep moving forward, no matter what they throw at her. And I am truly empowered by the words of Michelle Obama yesterday when she said, "Enough is enough." I feel empowered by the young women who are making a stand and saying, this can no longer stand. It's not too late to stop the madness of Trump before he sets us back to a time when America was not great for women, for citizens of color, for the impoverished. I just want my message today to be, your vote counts. And I ask that you vote your conscience for yourselves, for your sisters and brothers, for your nephews and nieces, for your grandchildren, granddaughters and grandsons, and for those who cannot speak for themselves and perhaps cannot vote. This is no longer about party affiliation. This is for the very integrity of our democracy. I beg you to go out and vote on November 8th, and I thank you for your time and for listening to my story.